Have you noticed how AI, freedom of speech, and technology are transforming everything around us right now? Like, that is the hot topic of today. Like the First, Second Amendment, and how now people on social media, you don't know if it's AI or a real person. And I don't know if you're like me, when I see trends like this, or when I see that there's a disruption in the collective, I always go to astrology because it helps me understand what's really going on. And the two planets I want to talk about today that I think is the representation of what we're seeing in the media everywhere is Pluto and Uranus. Because Pluto is in Aquarius and Uranus is in Gemini. So if you know anything about those two signs, those are air signs. And anytime you want to talk about air signs, you must talk about communication. You must talk about how we relate to one another. You must talk about ideas and the way that we translate and share information. So two of the air signs is in two planets that is going to disrupt all of that. Okay? So, what I wanted to do today with my nerdy astrology self, I wanted to talk about Pluto and Aquarius and Gemini and Uranus. Hello, everyone that has come into the room. Okay, so if you don't know what Pluto means, Pluto is the planet of power, transformation, and the underworld. It is also the planet of destruction. So keep that in mind, okay? And Uranus is the planet of revolution, freedom, and sudden change. But I also like to add to Uranus disruption. So Pluto is destruction and Uranus is disruption. Yeah, well, thank you for being here, Queens. I know you like talking about this stuff too. So, with Pluto being in Aquarius, and I have some notes. So, Pluto has been in Aquarius since 2023, and it's retrograding, so it's going back and forth. So, it's going to be in Aquarius until 2043. Okay? So what this means when you have Pluto in Aquarius, and when we're saying Pluto in Aquarius, we're talking about the collective. Now you can apply this to your chart, but Pluto is an outer planet. So it doesn't really have anything to do with your personality. It's more about, now if you wanted to apply to your personality, you would then go to what house your Pluto is in, but we're more so talking about the collective shifts and changes that we are seeing, because the intention of this live is to help you be aware of what's going on, have an objective perspective on what's going on, and then what you can do moving forward to empower yourself, because that's essentially what Uranus and Pluto is here to do. Even though they're disruptive, destructive, they're here to help you rebuild and identify your power. That's all they're trying to do. They just try to, and then like, okay, now do this. That's their intention. So that's what I want to give you, because I'm gonna tell you right now, you think things are going crazy. We're just getting started with what's really about to happen to this country and possibly the world, okay? So Pluto and Aquarius, power and control and technology. Since 2023, what have we been talking about? AI. We've been talking about AI, algorithms. This wasn't a thing back in 2022. We weren't talking about no AI. We wasn't talking about no algorithms. We were just on social media sharing and connecting. And now we can't say nothing without algorithms and AI. So it says, Aquarius rules innovation, science, AI, collective systems, digital networks. Pluto digs into the shadows, control, and transformation of this. So this is why people are afraid. When we think of AI, people are like, it's taking away jobs. Let me ground. See, I didn't realize I'm going to have to ground myself in this conversation. Why? Because it's a conversation about air. And air energy has no grounding energy. Okay? So I need to ground myself in having this conversation about Pluto, Aquarius, and Uranus and Gemini. Okay? So the technology that's happening with AI, what Pluto in Aquarius is doing is bringing up the shadows that we have as a collective. The fears of losing jobs, the fear of not being provided for, the fear of not finding your purpose or being valuable. So when we look at, and when we're talking about AI, people are not looking at how it could benefit us. They're focusing on the negativity of it. That's what shadows are. But they're not realizing that these things are happening so that we can advance in new ways of doing things. But the shadow will keep you in the fear. The shadow will keep you in the limitation. And then you won't even see that it's happening. Okay, that's what this whole AI conversation is doing. And even with the algorithm, like now it's like it's all about the algorithm, but the algorithm really is just another word for alignment. So if you're complaining about the algorithm, you should be complaining about what you're aligned to, because that's what the algorithm is giving you. It's just giving you more of what you were focused on. Okay? But then the truth of it is that Pluto and Aquarius is wanting you to have more discernment on your own ideas. And usually when it comes to the collective, they don't want to have any accountability or responsibility for who they are and how they show up and how they live their lives. So with AI now, it's requiring you to have more discernment and stop trusting every little thing that you see. Because now truth is relative. Okay? And the thing about Aquarius energy, it's all about objectivity. But now, with the way technology is going, you don't know what's real and what's not real. And you're not supposed to be looking on social media or any media trying to find truth. The truth that you're looking for is within. You can no longer rely on what you see on the media. Oh, I'm echoing. Oh, you know what? It's this house. Thank you. Pause, y'all. No, thank you, Immortal Imbecile. It is this house. And I don't have my microphone on, but maybe what I should do is go into the bedroom, because thank you so much. Yeah, and the houses in Mexico is all made of concrete. So let me move into the bedroom. I appreciate you for letting me know, because I don't want that to be a distraction. Oh, I'm gonna go get my chair. Put my air conditioner on because it be hot. Okay. How is that? Yes, okay. Let's see. We can. Is that better? I mean, it's still. Let me shut the door. Okay. Pluto said, I hear you clearly. I have my headphones on. Okay. Well, that's something that I need to just be mindful of. Is because it's very echoey out there. But now I know that I probably should have a microphone on. We have all the equipment. I just didn't want to do all that. But yeah. Okay. So now let's get back to the live. Okay. So basically people are feeling a which way about what they see on the media, and that you can't trust it. Well, you're not supposed to. And the media is going to get stronger and stronger with deceiving you, because you're not supposed to be looking for truth in what they are promoting. They have an agenda. And so now, even with social media, now that AI is the thing, and now that we're getting even AI content creators, it's not for you to put your trust in anyone but yourself. And so that's why these things are happening, so that you can get more clear about what you stand for and what is your truth. And that is like the epitome of Aquarius. Aquarius is, they have their own ideas, they're innovators, they think for themselves. And that's what Pluto Aquarius is calling on us as a collective. Start thinking for yourself. And if you can't do that, I'm going to put all this deception and all these lies and fake people out here to deceive you, since you want to be deceived. That's what I'm getting from it. Okay, so then we have, with Pluto and Aquarius, we have collective freedom versus authoritative control. Who owns the information? Who controls platforms? How communities versus governments navigate power? We are starting to see that. And so with social media, it used to be a place where you can pretty much say whatever you want. But because these platforms are now dictated by money, any big platform, whether it's social media, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, they are all governed by money. It's down to the bottom line. They don't give a damn about your First Amendment. They don't care about freedom of speech. It is green. That's the message. Who can make the most money? Who can get the most attention? Okay? So now that they got your attention, they can do whatever they want. They're not worried about your First Amendment. All these platforms are not worried about your First Amendment. It's about money. And now they're all owned privately. So because they're owned privately, they can do whatever they want. They can go above the law because they got enough money to do that. And even with the media, the news media, you already know that they're governed by, that they're owned by private sectors. They are not here for the people. I just want you to know that. Like, these platforms are not here for you. They're here to make money. They're here to push their own agenda. And as soon as the collective knows this and accepts this, then they can move differently. But a lot of times when people hear this truth, they want to go into victim mode. And it's not about us. We're not victims. Remember, everything is all with your mind. Everything's a reflection of you. So you can't be a victim of reality, or you just go be a victim of yourself. So you just want to be aware. And and just like Savannah said, she said attention is the true currency. You get to decide how much attention you want to give to these things. But when you are giving all of your attention to that, then that's when you can fall under the authoritative control of it. That's what happens. And this is why people, they are fighting for their right, because they allow these authorities to have control over how they live. And then if they thought about pulling away, they go into fears of their resources being taken away. Okay? Oh, wait a minute. You got some water up here. Oh, here's some water. I'll be coughing, y'all. Hello. Okay. So, revolutionary. I will tell y'all this. We are in a revolution. A revolution is occurring. When you have Pluto and Uranus in air signs, and when they're shifting, especially, well, I say when Pluto and Uranus change signs, that's revolution. Revolution is going to occur. But what the revolution is that people don't realize is a revolution happening in the mind. It's your thoughts, what you're giving your energy to, what you're giving your thoughts to, mind control. That's the revolution, because Pluto's in Aquarius and Uranus is in Gemini. And I'm going to keep saying this so y'all can remember, that's communication, that's your thoughts, and that's how you exchange information. We're going through a revolution in that. This is why the First Amendment is being attacked and violated and mutilated and everything. Because we're in a revolution to where now they're going to control and dictate the narrative and say whatever they want. And they're doing it right in front of your face. Like, bump the law. You can't say what you want to say. Oh, guess what? We own these platforms. See, that's the thing with rich people. The difference between rich people and poor people is that rich people know how to go above the law. And you know why? Because they got enough money to do it. And they know that most people will bend over backwards and take it for some change. And then they set it up to where that these platforms is to provide a service, but they're owned privately. So because they're owned privately, they have more control in what they do. But when it's a public thing, they do have to consider the masses. But when it's private, they can do whatever they want. They're protected by the law. Like, this is private, this is our money, so we get a say in what we want to do. I'm not here to knock anything. I'm just here to bring awareness so that you will know. And you do what you want to do with it. You could be a freedom fighter if you want, but I'm just making it aware. I just like to understand what is going on and why, and then I move accordingly in my life. So that's what y'all had to understand, is that all of this information, all of this media is controlled by someone. So with me knowing that, I know there is no real truth out there anymore. You cannot trust what you see out there in the media, nowhere. You can't. You gotta let it go from here and here. If you was not there, you do not know. And even if you was there, you can't always go off what you see. Okay? And that is what Pluto and Aquarius is here to bring destruction to. Destroying the idea that we as the collective have to listen or do what the authoritative people are here to tell us. Now you are here to govern your own mind. And if you don't know how to govern your own mind, your mind will be farmed to others for their own agenda. And this is why I don't watch the news. If I watch it, I see it and I keep it moving. Because they're farming your attention. And the more attention, that's why now when you look on the news and things are even more horrendous, because people have gotten numb to information. So if something crazy has to happen to get people's attention. Remember what Savannah said, attention is currency. So they will have somebody getting shot up in the neck blood out and put that on the news and let people know, because they know that's going to get your attention. They know that. So you're going to be seeing even more crazy stuff, because they got to do whatever they can do to get your attention. So, revolutionary restructuring. The way society is organized around tech, community, and global networks is being deconstructed and rebuilt. And so that's what is happening. And one of the things that I will say that is a benefit is that now you have the opportunity to create your own community. This is why it's so important, if you're on here creating content, also create your own community. Because you're not going to be able to just come on these platforms and say whatever you want to say. They let that be known. You can't say whatever you want to say. And you even saw that guy on the TV, Jimmy Kimmel, they took him off for saying something. And they don't give a damn about the laws. They don't care about First Amendment or Second Amendment or 50th Amendment. It does not matter. They do not care. Because they can move around that to get their point across. So now you just can't say whatever you want to say. But if you want to, so Pluto and Aquarius is about you aligning to the community that resonates with you. You creating your own algorithm. So what that's going to look like is we going into these private groups, being able to share our truth. Because you won't be able just to say whatever you want to say now. Okay? Without them penalizing you and taking you down or taking you off. Either way, like, this is what's happening. So now what you're going to start seeing is more people creating private communities, tribes, or whatever you want to do it, and sharing that. Because that's really what it's about, of speaking the truth and allowing to people that resonate with it. Because I say truth is relative, because you can think that what you're saying is helpful, but on the other end of that, someone else is harmed by that. So what they're trying to do on these medias is take down anything that doesn't go with their agenda. Of what they don't really care about what's going on with people. As long as it's not in the way of their agenda, you can say whatever you want. But see, that is going against the First Amendment, because you can say whatever you want without it creating violence or defamation. But to them is no, if it is not going to our agenda or calling out some truths, we're going to take it off, because we have enough money to do that. Okay? So next now let me ask you a question. Now that we're talking about Pluto and Aquarius, because Pluto and Aquarius is what you are seeing. Pluto and Aquarius is these AI, because there's different people that's coming in the room. So Pluto and Aquarius is destroying how we come together as a collective. Pluto and Aquarius is bringing destruction with how we do media. And Pluto and Aquarius is what it's wanting you to find your power in, is within your truth and within your group. It's no longer about us being one and all. No, it's about me being me and you aligning to that. You creating your own algorithm in your life. That's what Pluto and Aquarius is wanting us to remember our power in, is that the truth that we're seeking is right here. Okay? And no longer giving that power to the individual, like the gurus and the Jesus and the all of that. No, you are your guru. Okay? You are your own leader. And Pluto and Aquarius is trying to destroy all of that. It's time that we stop trusting these mystical people out here and start bringing that trust back to ourselves. And then sharing that with like-minded people. Okay? So now we're going to go into Uranus and Gemini. Uranus and Gemini, woo! Okay? It's very similar to Pluto. But like I said, Pluto is about destruction. Uranus, because when I say destruction, I'm talking about destroying what we see today, okay? But then rebuilding. And we'll get there. But remember, Pluto is going to be in the sign of Aquarius until 2043. We are only at 2025, y'all. So we got time. We got lots of time. Okay. So Uranus in Gemini, that occurred this year, and it will be in the sign of Gemini until 2033. Okay? So we're just getting started. So my notes that I have for that is shocks and disruptions in communication. Gemini rules speech, media, education, and exchange of ideas. Uranus shakes things up suddenly. And that is what's happening. That's what we're seeing. And isn't it funny that our president of the United States is so happened to be a Gemini? And what has he been doing since he's been in office? Disrupted everything. He don't give a damn about First Amendment. He do not care. He gonna say what he want and wish that you would say what you want. That is Uranus and Gemini all in action right there. The way that we've communicated is going to change. The way that we're sharing information is changing. And I wouldn't be surprised if our laws changed when it came to the First Amendment, when it came to the protection of the people and the information they receive. I wouldn't be surprised if they just completely decide to just get rid of the Constitution altogether. I wouldn't be surprised. Because it's not like we're really abiding by it as a country anyways. It's selective. And really our country is just built off of money and who has the most power. And I'm not saying that to be no victim of anything. I'm just saying this is what it is. And for me, I'm like, well, how can I benefit myself in this? Me and my family. You know what I'm saying? Because I just think that we rely so much on other people to guide us in our life. You have the leaders and you have the followers. But you got to decide which one are you and how well you're going to play. Because not everybody's here to be a leader. But if you're going to be a follower, you better be the best damn follower. You better be aware of what's going on. And hold yourself accountable and do whatever you can with the information that you got. You know, because the way that social media and media is happening, and you're seeing it already, is that they make up shit. They're making it up. You can't believe in nothing that they say in media anymore. You don't even know if you're talking to a real person or not on social media. And then look at ChatGPT. ChatGPT is taking over. Instead of talking to people, we rather go to a computer and receive understanding and empathy and direction. This is what's happening right now. And it's only going to expand more because the way that we've been communicating, the way we've been receiving information is going to change. It has not been benefiting us. But for change to occur, disruption and destruction has to happen. A lot of things are going to be done wrong. I'm going to tell you that right now. A lot of things are going to be done wrong. A lot of people is going to get hurt for change, to real change to occur that is going to impact us positively. That's just the way it goes sometimes. And you want to be aware of where you are in the spectrum of it. Okay, so radical shifts of freedom of expression, censorship at its finest has been happening. Again, like I said, reminding you of what happened with Jimmy Kimmel. They completely took his show out the air because he said something they didn't like. Okay? Free speech It's selective who gets free speech. It is selective. Yeah. Pastor Tammy said AI has no emotions, just information that is not always correct. You brought up a good point. The reason why AI is impactful because there's no emotion. It's just information. And what are we talking about today, class? What is the number one thing that we say about air signs? I'll wait. Someone answer. What is the one thing we say about air signs? What is the thing that they lack? I'll wait. Somebody give the answer to the class. Okay. Flute Smart said, I feel like ChatGPT is definitely has innovated to being able to help as a dictionary. Okay, I'm waiting for someone to tell me what is the thing that air signs lack. Kirko said empathy and compassion. Emotion. Very good, Queen Marisha AF. And you were close, Kirko, but I wanted it to be even more clear. Emotion. Air signs, as we say, lack emotion. And so just like Pastor Tammy says, AI has no emotions, just information. So we're going in the era of where we just want information. We just want facts. We just want objectivity. We don't want emotions. We don't want all that. We can't deal with that. So technology is appeasing to our lack of emotional capacity, the lack of our emotional intelligence. That is why AI, ChatGPT, and all these robots are going to start taking over because of our lack of emotional capacity, our lack of connection with others, because of our unhealed parts that we don't want to be aware of and identify. So instead of me working on myself and growing, I'm just going to go talk to a computer and get what I need to get and keep it moving. So that's what is going on. Thanks for the follow, Kirko. That is what's going on. And that's why when Charlie Kirk went away, what was the main thing people were arguing about? There's no compassion. There's no empathy. There needs to be compassion. There needs to be empathy. That was the biggest argument with that man's passing. Was there's no compassion but then people were saying, well, he didn't have it, so why should we give it? It was all about emotion when that man passed. Okay, it's about can you have compassion and empathy for somebody that portrays in a certain way. You know, that was the biggest argument with that. You know, so that is something that you're going to probably see more of, is the lack of emotional depth right now. And instead of feeling, we want to intellectualize everything. You're going to probably start seeing that more than ever, that as a collective, we're going to be disconnected from our emotions. You know, it's going to be something you're really going to have to work at, is checking in to how you feel about something and not just being numb for the information and content that you see. Okay, so let's see. Is there anything else I want to share with Uranus and Gemini? Again, I feel like Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius is the similar energy. But new tech and communication, AI-driven news, synthetic media, quantum internet, brain-computer interfaces, and new ways to share knowledge. that is something that, depending on who you are, will determine if you see as a benefit. Like, the way that we're going to be receiving information is going to change. And it's going to be less human interaction and just more surface-based information. That's why now when you look on TV or you see commercials, do you ever like wonder if that's a real person? Sometimes I can catch and be like, that's not a real person. That's an AI image. Yeah. And AI is just getting started. Right now we can see the glitches. Right now we can see that is not a real person, but it's going to get better and better before you're not even going to realize, that this is not a real human. So the things that what I recommend that you do at this time, and it's just getting started, y'all, is create community to share your truth. Find your group, okay? More than ever, start finding your communities where you can share, okay? Well, and Pastor Tammy said people listening and agreeing. Well, you're going to have to find your group, your community, your algorithm, so to speak. You're going to have to find that, because, and then with social media, I don't know if you notice, but now you don't get to receive things outside of your algorithm. So that's another deception within this Pluto Uranus energy, is that it's kind of like, oh, you want to stay certain alignment. This is another thing, y'all. This is a new thought now that you want to consider with before you do create these communities to share your truth and find your group. Is that one of the things that's coming to me is that there is a dark side to that, because I see how the algorithm is. And when you like one thing, it'll show you 50 more videos of that one thing. Just because I like that girl's lace front wig doesn't mean I want to see 50 more lace front wigs. I just thought her hair was cute. Just because I like the video of astrology don't mean I want to see everybody's take on the rising sign. I don't want to see it. So it's almost like a detriment. Where you get into the algorithm and it's giving you what you want, it's to the point where it's bombarding you and keeping you out of reality. So you do want to be mindful of that. You do want, yes, find your community and find your tribe, but you also must be aware that it can keep you out of reality. Everything in life isn't about just you being in alignment. You do need contrast. You do need different perspectives, because what that does is sharpens yours. Okay? You can hear it out. You don't got to argue. You don't have to debate. You can just be like, oh, that's what's going on over there. Sometimes you might be in the space in your life where now it's time to evolve your perspective. But if you get too caught up in finding your group and tribe where everybody believes in everything and nobody goes outside of what we believe, that can keep you from growing sometimes. Okay? That can keep you from evolving. That can keep you, because, okay, so the next thing is strengthening your discernment. That's all I'm talking about. There's nothing you can do that will keep you away from taking responsibility for your life. And yes, I got my little finger out. It's time for us to build our muscle of discernment. That's why we have the AI. That's why we have the censorship in media. That's why we have these crazy algorithms where they're just imputing one topic on us. Because it's time for you to strengthen your discernment. You knowing the truth is your responsibility. There is no man on the podium preaching truth to you, giving you the truth because they're anointed and they're chosen, so they got the truth. No more. You understanding and knowing the truth is now your responsibility. And now things are going to get even more weird to where you don't even know what you're looking at as a real person. You don't even know. You know? And now they're censoring the truth. What they're doing now, they're curating what truth is and then giving it to you. And then people are basing their whole damn lives on it. And fighting and debating and killing people over a curated truth that was given. Okay? And knowing that you're not always going to have people that's going to be in complete alignment to you, and that you shouldn't even want to. Pluto Aquarius, you are you. There's no one like you. You have your own experiences. Okay? You had your own childhood. You had your own life stuff. So you can't expect that you're going to just find someone or something that's going to be in complete alignment to you. Everybody's different. And I can't stand when people be like, I don't agree with everything you say. You sound stupid when you say that. I ain't talking about you, but whoever say that. You don't need to say that. Of course you don't agree with everything that everybody says. You're not supposed to. You don't have to say that. Hey, I despise. You want to know my pet peeve? When somebody say that, like, I don't agree with everything. You ain't supposed to agree with everything, so you do not have to say that. Okay? If you agree with something, just say, I agree with that. You don't got to, but I don't agree with, who is you talking to? Like, come on. We're all individuals here to share our perspective. Okay? So lastly, embrace adaptability and new ideas and perspectives. And that's basically what I'm saying, is that despite, everything I said, there's always another side to it. And that's the thing about air signs, that they say one thing and do another. Well, guess what, y'all? That's the energy that we're going to be in for a few years. They're going to say, we're going to be in the energy, they're going to say one thing, and then they're going to flip and say another. Because air signs is about ideas, the mind, the seeing in all which way. Now, Aquarius is more fixed in ideas. Gemini is more adaptable. I can't even say adaptable. Okay, so in this time that we're going in, you must learn how to embrace adaptability in new ideas and your perspective. Don't get so stuck on how you see things. Have the ability to adapt, but that adaptation is to benefit you. Not to chain you down, but to benefit you. How can I see this new idea and this new perspective in another way that I haven't done before? And that's what I welcome you all with the Pluto and Aquarius, with all these changes, with all this First Amendment stuff, with all the AI. Ask yourself, how can I adapt to the changes that are occurring right now moving forward? How can I adapt to the new censorship? How can I adapt to the First Amendment not being a thing anymore? If they want to shut you up, they will. How can you now adapt to that? Okay? Now, anybody want to share in the comments, how are you going to start adapting to the changes that are before us? Let's set an intention. Before we get off this live, let's set an intention. How are we going to start adapting to the changes that we see? Because it definitely is changing. Like, how are you going to start adapting to technology? How are you going to start adapting to the way we communicate. And, you know, Pastor Tammy said she's a Gemini. Okay. So just think about that. You may not even thought about that, but set an intention with how you're going to start adapting. Right now, the energy is calling for us to be adaptable. Don't fight against nothing. Because we are in the air energy. So it's about you being clever. It's about you having the ability to think. Start having more critical thinking. Start having more discernment on when you see something. Just don't go along with something, okay? And then find your community. Find your tribe, but then also know, don't get so caught up in the algorithm of it to where you're losing a sense of reality that is here to help you evolve in. There's some parts of reality that can help you evolve into what you're trying to do, but you must always be clear about your truth and your intentions in life. No, it does not matter if you are a part of a group. Some of y'all know my life story about me being a part of a cult. Just because you are a part of a cult or a group, you still have critical thinking. You still must have discernment. Okay? You still must have the ability to think for yourself, even though you are a part of something. Does not matter. That's not about you being loyal, dedicated, devoted. It's about you having the ability to think and knowing how to shape shift when 1 + 1 ain't equaling up to 2. Ask questions. Be curious. Be objective. This is the time that we're in. Okay? And maybe we're not supposed to be so caught up in our emotions. I don't know. But I do know with air energy, when it comes to emotions, they just don't know what to do with it. They want to process. Maybe we should be in a time of processing and learning how to think and communicate. Maybe this is what this time is here to help us destroy and disrupt how we think, how we communicate, and how we share information, and how we're a part of something. Maybe that needs to be destroyed and rebuilt. But it's on an individual thing. Everybody is different. Okay, so hey Marcine. Making by Marcine said, turn off cookies to start. Yeah, girl. Yes. I don't even select the cookies no more. If I can excel without selecting it, I don't do nothing with the cookies. Now that definitely was something that it was a mind thing to where it's like, oh, cookies. Yeah, I want cookies. Not realizing what that really means. Oh, excuse me. Queen Marisha said, I personally don't rush to judge what I see or hear, especially when it comes to mainstream media. I give time for collection of info. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, and she said, different perspectives. Making by Marcine says, keep writing and making art. Yes, don't allow what's going on in the media to keep you away from being creative. You know, creation can never go away. You know, you want to focus on your creative energy, but you got to give your attention to that. When you give your attention to your creative energy, you give your attention to God. Because God, even though God created the laws and God is objective, God is also fluid and creative too. And it's in the imagination. So make sure you are tending to that as well. And even with air energy, what it brings is to tap into the imagination, the new ideas, new thoughts. Maybe AI, and I'm about to get off here because I only want to be here for 30 minutes, but I love the sound of my voice, y'all. I can talk, okay? But maybe AI and maybe these censorships. Here's another thought. Here's another thought, y'all. The flip-flop thoughts, okay? Because we're in the air energy. What if, here's a question, a curious question. What if AI doing everything? And what if these censorships, to where now you just can't say whatever you want? What if it's an opportunity for us to really focus on what we truly want? What if it's an opportunity for us to focus more on positivity and love and elevation versus using our right to communicate and our freedom of speech to hurt and gossip and put negativity out in the world? What if that's what is pushing us towards? Because think about all this content to where people ain't saying nothing that's elevating nobody. They're talking about celebrities, they gossiping, they putting out hate stuff, they're saying stuff that ain't true. What if we don't need to use these platforms to that? I can't tell you how many times I've seen content talking about Cardi B and getting her pregnant. I've seen, like, for real, it's like so much content out here where people aren't saying nothing but putting other people down and judging them for the choices that they make. Especially on TikTok. TikTok has become an app where people just sharing their unsolicited opinion about something that someone got nothing to do with them. What if the censorship is help because we can't have our own discipline to shut the hell up sometime and mind our business? What if the censorships are here to help us be more mindful of what we say? Because every thought don't need to be shared. Every truth is actually pain being disguised in your words. So what if that's what it's pushing us towards? More love and light. Maybe. And what if AI is here to do the grunt work while we can do more work that is purposeful, that is more human aligned? Because there's just some things robots can't do, but that humans can do. So what if AI and technology is here to not have us overthinking things that don't need to be thought about, but more so tapping into our human God imagination? What if that's what it's here for us to really tap into the imagination and really focus on the things that we really love versus all the other stuff? Maybe? I don't know. Okay, Megan by Marcine said, yes, definitely staying close to God and having a personal relationship with the Creator. Yeah. Amen. A positive narrative and building up love. Maybe. It could, that's my curious question. Because in my mind, everything always work out for me. It don't matter what it is. I can find the positivity in anything. Because that's how my mind is. And we know how energy is. Whatever you put out, you gonna get back. Ooh. So what if the censorship is saying whatever, I'm trying to help you out? Because there's a lot of negativity being put out on these media platforms, on these social media platforms. There's a lot of people that's saying whatever they want that's actually not benefiting anyone. I'm telling you that right now. So, but they don't realize that what they're putting out, they're going to get back, because I promise you, a lot of these gossip columnists, I'm not going to name their names, that be putting out talking about people, their lives are not okay. They're going through a lot. But because they're making that money and getting that attention and getting them views and likes, they're going to keep doing it because their bills need to get paid. But in the expense of their own health and their well-being, they're going to keep putting that stuff out so that they can survive and live. You know? So, I don't know. All right, y'all. Well, you comment after this live. You share your thoughts on what's going on. But I wanted to give an astrology perspective on Uranus and Pluto. Just like, oh, wow, I'm seeing the shifts. Because when you do astrology history in the transits, you can see how it plays a part in things. You really do. Like if you go back to the 50s and 60s, they were in, especially when the 60s, they were in a Virgo energy. Either Pluto or Uranus was in a Virgo sign. So that's why in the 60s there was a lot of revolution about people's rights and health, and women on birth control, and women getting, the feminist movement and all this and that, and the health movement. That was a Virgo transit. And then like in the 70s and 80s, they were in a Scorpio transit. And then that's when like it was to do with sexual things and do with AIDS and diseases, because they had the sexual revolution, but then later on they got AIDS, and then the drugs and all that stuff. So it's really fascinating when you go back in astrology history and see how these signs can really tell you what's going on. So I just wanted to give this to you so that when you see things in the media, you will think about, is this a Pluto and Aquarius thing or Uranus and Gemini? Okay, so share your thoughts below, and I will. Oh, and before I go, I'm offering my birth chart readings to remember the path. Birth chart readings to help guide you in this new era that we're going into. And even though things are changing or disrupting, don't forget to remember who you are. And if you have forgotten, my birth chart readings will gladly be that reminder. So you can send me a DM, or you can go to the link in my bio. I'm here to be of service to you in any way that I can. All right, I love you. Goodbye.